What's going on YouTube? Welcome to Wes's Angling. I've got something a little bit different for you this afternoon. I've met my dad at a local fishery and we're just going to be doing some surface fishing for carp. Obviously it's absolutely scorching, so I've just come down for a few hours after work. Temperature's starting to cool down a touch, but not much. Before we get into the fishing, I'm going to go through the setup that I'm using today. You probably won't be able to pick up much of this on the GoPro, but I'm going to talk you through it. I've just cut off a few feet of Korda Cruiser Control. This is £8 and I've got a £10 main line. Korda Cruiser Control, it's got really good stretch and it's a non-gloss mono, meaning that it's very hard for the fish to detect. I've just threaded that through a size 8 feeder hook, which is wide gape. It's important to use a decent size hook when you surface fishing. It helps keep the bread on. And this is also a very narrow gauge, which means that you're not going to sink the bread either. I've tied the hook on with a uni knot. I feel this is the strongest knot for this type of setup, but you can use a knotless knot if that's what you're comfortable with. But I know this is a really strong knot and it's not going to let me down when I'm surface fishing. These knots will take a lot of stress. The fish do bolt off when you strike into them when surface fishing. So I'm just wetting the knot down. This is really important. Then making sure the tag end and the main part of the line's pulled tight so that knot cinches down well. Then I'm just going to trim that tag end off. It's one of the hottest days of the year today. It's well over 30 Celsius. This can be a really effective technique in this kind of weather because the fish are cruising on the top and they'll readily feed where they probably wouldn't feed on the bottom. Freelining bread's a very visual and fun way of fishing, and it can be really exciting as well, as I'm sure that you'll see in this video. Hopefully we get something for you. Okay, so I'm going to attach this Cruiser Control to my main line just using a simple figure of 8 loop knot, and I'm just going to loop to loop it with the same knot on my main line. Like I said to you before, I'm using £10 main line, which is Daiwa sensor. So I'm just wetting this knot down, and that's a simple figure of 8 loop knot tied. I've left the loop quite big. It'll just give it a little bit of extra strength. And I'm just going to trim the tag end off. Okay, I'm going to loop this onto my main line and we'll get fishing.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. I'm never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.
So I've just thrown a little bit of bread flake out and they're already coming up for it. There we go. A few tips on mounting the bread for the beginners watching. It might sound simple, but getting the bread to stay on the hook is one of the main things when you surface fishing. So this is how I do it. I've got a couple of ways of doing it, but this is the main one. I'll cut the bread into squares. I won't rip it. Then I'll hook through the side so that the point's showing, and I'll bury the shank of the hook in the bread. Then I squeeze one corner of the bread around the shank of the hook. Make sure not to flatten or squeeze all of the bread because it'll sink otherwise, and obviously you don't want that because we're surface fishing. You want to be able to see the fish take the bait.
дорогим, советским.
So there we go, guys, as easy as that. First fish in a net. Looks like a really nice mirror. Definitely looks like a wide fish. Let's get him onto the bank and have a look at him. I'll get it unhooked and then I'll show you. There it is. Some nice scale patterns on him. He's definitely still got some energy left. So this is the other way I like to hook the bread on. Again, just for the beginners out there, I pass the hook through the bread gently, and then I'll push the point back through so it's nice and exposed, and then I'll just lightly pinch the bread around the base of the shank of the hook and a little bit of the line. That'll just hold it on nice and firm. What I will do sometimes is I'll dip it in the water first, just to give it a little bit of weight. But I'm not casting it far out, as you can see. I'm just flicking it over to the margin. The carp are coming up, feeding confidently on the loose offerings, so it shouldn't be long before we get another bite. Well guys, we're into another fish. It looked like a common this time when it come up and took the bait. It's definitely pulling. It's taking some line off my reel. I've got the drag set fairly low. You know, I don't want any hook pulls or any breakages. Fishing at close range like this. Nice soft rod. It's a 1.25 pound test curve. It's not a carp rod, it's a specimen rod. Just a Gray's Prodigy PB. Like I said, 10 pound line, so I can't go mental trying to drag the fish in. So it's really good fun, good sport on this light tackle. I try and keep the fish in the water like this when I can and unhook them in the net. It just saves them getting them out onto the bank in the hot weather. So if you can do that and it is really hot, try and do it. Obviously sometimes the fish is going to absolutely have swallowed the bait, and you're not going to be able to do that, and you're going to need to use a disgorger. So if you can do that, get it on the landing net and keep it wet. Just going to do a little bit of a voiceover for you here, guys, because the wind's picked up massively and it doesn't make for very good audio. I want the sound to be nice and clear for you. when you do strike into a fish, when you see the fish take the bait, you want to be striking up and away at an angle. It'll just give you your best chance of getting that hook hold in the corner of the mouth like that. Now that I've hooked into the fish, I'm just keeping steady pressure on it, getting it away from the margins. You don't want it running into those reeds. That's the last thing you want. The fish getting snagged up in there. It's really taking some line now. So when it stops, I'm just putting steady pressure on, and then when I feel like I'm getting a bit of give from the carp, I'll start reeling in, and then start dropping the rod tip and then easing it back up, reeling in as I go, keeping the pressure on. If a fish wants to run, let it tire itself out. Other than that, just keep the pressure on it. If it lunges, just make sure that you drop your rod tip slightly so you don't get any hook pulls. Oh. Whew. Decent fish. Wow, I might even weigh that. I have to come closer because it's on wide here. Just shy of £10. Got him. Let's get it back. I've just had 5 on the bounce, so I'm just snipping squares of bread. So it's normal thick white bread, cheapest I could find. I fed some when I first came, just to get the swim going and build the confidence up. And then all I'm doing is hooking enough on so that it floats, and literally just making sure that the point's exposed on one of the sides, and then just free lining. Obviously it's all visual, this kind of fishing, so I can see the fish taking the bait and then I'm striking into the fish. Let's see if we can get a few more. Get the GoPro back on. I seem to be getting a better standard of fish when I'm fishing the method feeder. The fish seems to be bigger, whether they're more confident on the surface, the older fish, who knows. But there's nobody else on the fishery. It's a great time to come in the evening. You know, you've got a good few hours after work or whatever in the summer while it's still light. So if it's red hot like this, chances are you're not going to catch much through the day on the bottom. So I can see that they're taking the free offering, so I'm just going to get another bait out now. Let's get you back on the GoPro. I might need to change the battery on this one soon, because it looks like it's going to die. Let's go. If you are enjoying this video, guys, please give me a thumbs up below. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, now's your time to do so. Just hit the subscribe button and also click the bell notification so you don't miss another video. If you've never tried freelining and surface fishing before, I really recommend you do so. It's a really exciting way of fishing. You know, watching the carp come up and take that bait, you're striking into that fish and then getting that hook hold. It's absolutely brilliant. So I really recommend you getting out there and doing it, especially when it's warm days and you feel like you're not catching. It can be a really effective way of picking up a few fish. Obviously check the fishery rules first, make sure that floating baits are allowed on that particular fishery. and that your bread's not going to be drifting into somebody else's peg.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. I'm just looking where the carp are coming up and just gently dropping it on them.
Coming up here.
They're all in my swim. Smaller one, this. There we go, boys. See, that's literally just hooked in the side of the mouth, that one. Right, let's get it back. It's really warm, and this one's still got loads of energy left. Lovely looking mirror. Let's get it back. Let's get another one. So I've just joined my dad in his peg. So my peg seemed to go really, really quiet. I think the fish were pushing up to this aerator. So I've just come and joined him in that peg. The wind's really blowing, so I'm going to have to do a voiceover, so I'm sorry about that. But like you can see there, I just dipped the bread in the water just to give it a bit of weight, and then we're just flicking it out. We're fishing about midway out to the aerator in this swim. The fish seem to be pushing back a little bit. They were feeding a little bit more confidently about midway. But obviously, the further out that you fish with floating baits, the harder it gets. It's harder to see the take. It's harder to cast the bait further because floating baits are normally light, like bread flake or pellets. It's also harder to set the hook on the strike because you're taking up more slack line on the strike itself. So if you're just starting out to floater fishing, try it a little bit closer in first, in the margins, down the sides, and then work your way out. Make sure you keep feeding loose offerings. Once you've got the carp competing for the bread on the top, bites can come really quick. So just keep casting out small pieces of bread often. So there we go, straight in. That was literally seconds after hitting the water. Just keep your eye on the bait and then strike in as soon as you see it disappear. It's really easy to strike too soon, so make sure you see the bread completely disappear, wait for the carp to turn and then strike into the fish. I really hope you're picking up a few tips and I've shown you how effective that free lining can be. It can really give you the edge sometimes. It can be really hard for the fish to detect the hook and the line when you're fishing this way. And there we go, another lovely common in the net. I won't take him out, he's a little bit smaller than the others, still a decent fish though. So I'll just unhook him in the net and I'll get him going. Let's just pull down on it. Not giving it too much stick. I've cast it miles, I can't even see that. So again, for the beginners, just dip your bread a tiny bit in the water just before you flick it out. Just gives it that extra little bit of weight so you can get the distance on it. Even if you're just giving it a little bit of an underarm like this, you really can get bread out quite a long way, especially when you're using, you know, a 12-foot rod like these. And make sure that you really do keep an eye on your bread, because a carp can come from underneath at any time and just slurp it up. Before you know it, you'll have no bread left on your hook.
Kidding me.
It's too close, this swim face. Yeah. Need the net. Only a babby, this one. I think this is a similar size. Just hooked.
Yeah, only just.
Does it look any bigger? Yeah, it is. Definitely is.
Six.
Hold it up for me.
I'm running out of film on the GoPro.
That's a great fish, that did. It was though. The GoPro battery's about to die, so I'm going to end the video on this last clip, guys. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. It's been a really productive evening's fishing, definitely worth coming down for a few hours. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'll be doing more surface fishing soon while the weather's nice. Make sure you take advantage of the nice weather, get yourself to the shop, get a loaf of bread and get out there and do some surface fishing. I'll see you in the next session. Nice fish, that little dumpy round thing.